Welcome back to Divine Chapter, where we explore life-changing stories of faith, surrender, and redemption. I'm your host, Chanel, and today we're stepping into Chapter 2, Leading with Love, a Woman's Influence in the Home. As women, whether we realize it or not, we set the tone for the spaces we touch, in our homes, our relationships, and even in our communities. Every word we speak, every act of love we give carries a ripple effect that can shape generations. In today's conversation, we will be diving into the power we hold and how leading with love isn't just a gift, it's a calling. Today's episode was inspired by Proverbs 14:1, a wise woman builds her house. This verse has impacted me in so many ways. It has taught me that it's not about bricks and beams. It's about love, intention, discipline, and the influence we carry as women, even when we feel we don't have it all together. But before we get into the conversation, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share, because these conversations aren't just meant for us. Get comfortable, let's talk. This is Divine Chapter. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. I've known her since middle school. We grew up in the same hometown, and I have quietly admired her throughout the years. Her strength, her grace, her faith has really inspired me in more ways than one. I am so excited and so happy that you said yes today. So help me welcome my guest, Crystal Smith, to Divine Chapter.
Thank you so much, Chanel. I'm so happy to be here. And I think this is an awesome thing that you are doing. It's so fitting for you, and it's wonderful to see how God has guided you to this place. And I'm looking forward to seeing how God is going to use you to impact women and many others.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited that you said yes. And over just recently, we've gotten to know each other a little bit more personally. And I can truly say that you are as beautiful on the inside as you are on the outside.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to the conversation. But before we get into the conversation, I want to ease in with something fun.
Okay.
I believe our vibes carry into the one we are at home too, how we show up. So if you could pick a lipstick color that represented your vibe in the house, what color would it be and why?
I guess pink, because that feminine energy, and pink is my favorite color. Okay. So I guess if I have on pink with lipstick, it would bring out that confidence, the love. I guess if I'm participating and doing something that I love and I'm using colors that I like, it's going to bring out the shine within. So I would say pink.
Okay. Yeah, pink is definitely like one of the most feminine colors. So yeah. I mentioned earlier that the inspiration behind this episode stems from the verse, a wise woman builds her home. When you hear that scripture, what does that mean to you, and how have you seen that play out in your own life?
Oh, that's wonderful. I love the scriptures. It's just a part of me. And, scripture is there, it's God-breathed, and it's there to teach us and train us and correct us, rebuke us. And it has done all that in my life, that scripture. I love that. It says a wise woman builds. It lets me know, it teaches me what a wise woman does. And the other part of that scripture talks about the foolish woman. So I already know a wise woman is going to build. And I can look to that wise woman to see what that looks like. It gives me purpose. It gives me as a mom purpose, because I'm teaching my daughter to be a wise woman. And it lets me know that at every stage of a woman's life, she has purpose. So if she's a girl growing up to be a woman. If I'm thinking when I just left my parents' home and went to college, I was building my home, you know, because I had my first apartment. And as a wife, you're building. So at every stage, you're building your home. No matter, you know, my mom is still building her home. And so it gives me purpose. It also, at a time in my life, it gave me like a rebuke. You know, when I had my first son, I was in Atlanta and I was at a girlfriend's house and we were talking about just our purpose in life. And, you know, I was thinking, oh, God is going to have me do this and he's going to have me do that. And she said, well, wait a minute. What about this child you have at home? What's your commitment to your child? And it made me think about it. And I look back at that scripture to be able to give me guidance at that time that I need to build my home first. You know, I can do things with my career, but my first calling is my home and the child that God gave me. He called me to be a mother first. So it's not that I wouldn't do all those things that maybe God wanted me to do, but he wasn't going to call me to do that before my kids or before my husband, because he had already called me to that. So that was an opportunity that, you know, I was able to have to allow that scripture to minister to me in a way that it got me back in line with what my purpose is. So it's been a blessing in my life, and I love to look at wise women building.
Yes. And I like when you share that you're building your home at every stage, because we are in a season where social media is present. Like, I feel like with our age, we grew up in the era without social media, and then we kind of merged into like social media. So I think we have the best of both worlds. And during that time, in our early 20s, late 20s, kind of early 30s, we watched our parents or our whatever woman that was present in our life build, right? And so now generations watch what they see on the internet. So what would you say to a young woman right now who is building her home? What would you give? What advice would you give her to make her feel like she's enough? Because sometimes I think if we compare ourselves a little too much, we can feel like we're not doing enough.
Yeah. Well, first, with looking at the scripture, I also see how God is looking at us personally, the gifts and talents that he's given us. The wise woman builds. And that looks different for all of us. And at different stages, the way we build our house is different. So I would speak to that woman, first of all, to, you know, spend time in prayer about what building looks like for you. It's not the same for me, you know, because our whole goal is to go before God, and we will be judged, and we want the Lord to say, well done to us. And it's going to be based on what he's called us to do. So I would say definitely go before God and you know, spend quiet time with yourself, you know, to see what's on the inside, because he gives us desires within our heart, which moves us and activates us into things that he's called us to do, the work that he's already put before us to do. So if we spend time alone and listen to what God has placed in us, talk to the Father about what he's called us to do, and then, you know, don't focus so much. Sometimes you have to take a break from social media. That's one of the things I try to do, is to be sensitive to how I'm feeling about things, and, you know, the level of time I need to spend in different areas. And I may need to push back from the phone if I'm beginning to see it in a different way, if it's not positive. So put that to the side and spend time with God and read, you know, just find out what God is saying to you, because that empowers you when you know what you're called to do, what's your purpose. And you can start with that scripture where it says a wise woman builds. Maybe you need to spend time on becoming more wise. How do you become wise? You seek God for wisdom. He said he'll give it to you liberally, upbraided not. So maybe I'm seeking him for wisdom. Maybe I'm seeking him on what I need to do to build. Like, put the phone aside, because it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of our time. So, and that takes away from building time. So I would say, yes, just spend time with the Lord, spend time with yourself, see where you need to build, and make sure that you're sensitive to what you're putting in your system. If it's not lining up and you don't have peace there, and it's showing up some things or characteristics or behaviors that you don't like within yourself, then you need to put that aside for a little while.
That is so true. And when we imagine something being built, let's take a home, for example, always the contractor starts with the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe one of the true foundations is prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Because we, to your point, have to seek God and ask him to help us.
Right.
Because as a woman, we have a lot that we have to deal with on a day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've realized in my walk, and as I have built and continue to build, that I need God's strength.
That's right, for sure.
To keep going. Because some days I come in and work has been crazy, and now I'm walking into the house to fulfill my duties, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a mother, to support my kids. I'm in a relationship to support my partner and to just show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that prayer is really the foundation that can be applied in every stage
That's right.
of building.
I agree.
Because there was a time where I didn't know. And through my prayer life is when God starts to reveal things to me.
Mm-hmm.
How has prayer helped you in every stage of your building?
Like you said, it's key. It's my connection with God. And if you read scripture, it talks a lot about wisdom being hidden inside of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So, although we have wisdom that cries loud, there's certain things that we get because we enter into his presence. And so it's key, like you said, at every stage. Because I remember when my children were younger. They're still young, but I remember my babies. They knew mommy was taking her quiet time and she's praying. But I didn't stop them from coming in there with me. That would be my opportunity, to bring them in. They knock on the door and I say, come on in. I move my Bibles out the way. And I actually use a closet to pray. So they would come on in and then I would hold them, and that would be my time to pray over them. So whatever season, make sure that you find that time. Because as we talk about leading out of love, we love because Christ first loved us. God first loved us. And out of that overflow, we can love our families, we can love others, we can love even our enemies, out of that overflow. But it's hard as a mom,
right,
as a wife, wherever you, as a widow, as anybody that's operating, like you said, the daily things that we have to do in life.